And welcome to Star Trek Sunday with Kira over there.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
And yeah, it is fantastic to have Kira back with us. Off last week. Do you want to share?
Yeah, so last week I was searching for a new house. So although I moved house just 2 months ago, I have to move again. So I was dealing with all of that stress. And now I found somewhere and I'm moving next week. So thank you
Yay!
for putting up with my absence, Stu, and I'm happy to be back.
No, it's fine with me. Obviously, our viewers missed you terribly. I've just realised the way I've got our pictures set up, I'm cutting off Riker's head, and do you know what? That just will not do. So let me let me amend that now. There we go. Yes, that's better. And a fantastic backdrop you've got there.
Happy Captain Picard Day!
From the episode, and your outfit is absolutely on point again. Going a little bit different with Janeway this week.
Yeah, so I actually bought this suit just for because I like it because it's stylish. But someone on Twitter commented saying it looks just like Janeway's costume from the episode Future's End, which I think is in the 3rd season of Voyager. So I thought, you know what? Let's be 90s Janeway today.
Totes.
And your costume looks great as always, Stu.
Well, thank you. We have seen this one before. This is my favourite. I did get a new one through this week, which I was toying with wearing, but actually I'm going to save it for Wednesday night, the Choose Your Own Adventure stream.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, because it is a classic Kirk, not an original series Kirk, but so I've got the red jacket, Wrath of Khan Kirk, but I've now just got the vest that he wears underneath.
That sounds cool. I can't wait to see it.
So yeah, there we go. And we had a lovely comment from Matt. So I started the stream way earlier than I should have done by accident, and had to switch it off again, unfortunately. And Matt asked, "Is this a good one or is it just Stu?" So here you are, Matt. It is a good one, as we know. And it's great to see Ed here as well. Now, Matt, of course, a bit of news from me. I'm going camping at the end of August bank holiday, Kira. And Matt is coming as well.
Exciting. I hope you have a lot of fun.
Yeah, a group of us going. Ed's thinking about it at the moment. We're going to Honeyfest in the Barge Inn in Alton Barnes.
My mum actually went to the Barge Inn yesterday with some of her friends and had a nice sort of outdoor pint of cider. I love the Barge Inn. That's really cool. You'll have a great time.
One of my favourite. Well, it used to be one of my favourite pubs to go to when I was living in Swindon, because it used to be the Crop Circle, but it's not anymore. It changed hands and they got rid of all the Crop Circle stuff.
Oh.
Which is like a bit shit, but
I didn't know that. I've only ever known it as the Barge Inn.
Right. Oh yeah, Matt he wants to make absolutely clear it's not a date. There are a few. Yeah, there will be quite a number of us. It's got to be said. And Matt, you should be so lucky. Fantastic. So yeah, what else? Oh yeah, the only other bit of news I've got is tomorrow I'm getting my first hypo spray in the arm.
Ooh, exciting.
Yay. So I will be Bill Gates' sex robot by this time next week. How about yourself? Other than, finding somewhere else to live at very short notice is enough to keep anyone busy, but is there anything else going on with you?
I booked festival tickets for August, so I'll also be going to a festival this year, which is nice. I haven't been to one for a while.
Which one are you going to?
It's called Victorious. It's in Portsmouth. Because one of my best friends, Rose, she went to university in Portsmouth, so it's something that she used to do with all of her uni friends. who I've met. They're all really lovely people, so we'll all be going together to that. So that'll be nice. Hopefully the weather's still good at the end of August. And my two best friends came to visit me yesterday. They just went home about an hour ago. So it was lovely to finally see them, and because now we're allowed to, go to places and sit outdoors. We had some lovely food together and a few drinks, and had a really good catch up because it's been absolutely months since we saw each other. So it was really nice to just be with my best friends again. They're people I've known since school, and they'll be like in my life forever. So it was hard not seeing them for months and months. But
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Matt has made a comment. Pompey. Is that anything to do with Portsmouth, or is he having a stroke?
Yeah. No, that's what people call Portsmouth. I don't know why. I don't think anyone knows the reason, but Rose always says, I'm going Pompey.
Oh, we have historical and military experts and historians who watch this, so don't be surprised if someone instantly jumps in the chat and says, it's because of this. Oh, it's where Matt went to uni, apparently. And Ed has straight in there, as predicted, he suspects it's an old Navy term.
Maybe.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
You can rely on our viewers for random information like that. Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Wow. Well, it's great to have you back, and what a week to be back. We've got a great episode this week, haven't we?
I absolutely love this episode.
I know. We are reviewing one of the finest episodes ever written. I'll stick my stake in the ground on that one. The Next Generation episode, The Pegasus.
Yeah, it's an absolutely great storyline. I feel like it's such a complex sort of breakdown of people's morality and where you stand on certain issues, and like the way that they sort of react to it. You could apply that to any situation, I think, and it's really fascinating to see how, especially Riker has developed in his own career and things like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes. What else have we got in the episode, though?
So we also have a deep dive. We'll be talking about cloaking technology, which is relevant. If you know the Pegasus episode well, you'll know it's all about cloaking technology and how. What else you can achieve with that sort of technology in the world of Trek.
Indeed, I will be doing one of my unboxings of the Star Trek Online universe, issue number 14 from Eaglemoss, the USS Shran.
Shran, that's a fun word. And then we will be finishing off, as always, with the latest Star Trek news.
Ooh, exciting. So let's dive straight in then with the review. The Next Generation, The Pegasus. This was the 12th episode of Season 7. By far, for me, the finest season of The Next Generation. Everyone really came into their own. First aired 10th of January 1994, so only 6 years ago.
That was just over a month before I was born.
Right, so I hope you've all enjoyed the stream. That's where we ended.
So the episode opens with Captain Picard Day, and they're like looking at all the children's artwork and things. I thought this was really cute, and I love the moment where he's on the call to the Admiral and he goes, "I'm a role model." Like, I just love that so much. It's so funny, and you can tell, like, Patrick Stewart is such a good actor. You can tell that it could have been a real comedy moment, but because of Picard's, he's quite an awkward person when it comes to things like that. Because of his own awkwardness, it's just really cringy, but it's a good kind of cringe. But yeah, so their preparations are interrupted with a call from Vice Admiral Blackwell, who orders the Enterprise to pick up a Starfleet intelligence operative who turns out to be Eric Pressman, who is Riker's previous commanding officer and is now Rear Admiral. Pressman tells them they're going to retrieve the Pegasus, which is his old ship, which was thought to be destroyed before the Romulans get to it.
Is it worth mentioning at this point that you're a little bit hungover today?
Yeah.
So we can forgive you for any stumbling of words today.
I'm a little bit hungover. I'm very tired.
It's because
So
you've
I've
seen
had
your
to
best
like,
friends. They're a bad influence on you,
they really
obviously.
are. They really are. And Stu saw me just before we went live. I was like applying concealer massively under my eyes because I've got huge eye bags. So if I say things wrong or if I sound like an idiot, that's why. So please forgive me.
Totally forgiven, and if you sound like an idiot, you'll be in very good company. So, moving on with the plot. Pressman explains that the Pegasus was a prototype vessel that was thought destroyed 12 years earlier by a warp core breach, and only he and 7 others, including Riker, survived. Upon arrival at the designated area, there is a Romulan warbird already there. Both Picard and the Romulan commander claim to be investigating gaseous anomalies in the asteroid field, although neither one actually believes a word of it. Pressman and Riker share some of the history with references to the experiment, and that the Pegasus was running, and with talk from Pressman about kind of the greater good, and it's all about the greater good. Riker is ordered to maintain silence about his knowledge of the Pegasus, even to Picard.
But Picard has unearthed a buried report about the Pegasus that mentions mutiny among the crew, and when Pressman remains silent, Picard tries to grill Riker about it, but he's conflicted and doesn't say anything. Meanwhile, the Enterprise manages to locate the Pegasus, but it's inside an asteroid, and they hide this from the Romulans. And the only apparent option for getting to it is to take the Enterprise into the asteroid itself, which there's quite a big discussion. They're like, it's too dangerous. No one's ever done that with a ship before into a celestial body or whatever they say. They find the Pegasus seemingly half buried inside solid rock. Pressman and Riker beam to the engineering section, and Pressman reveals he intends to restart the experiments. Riker tells him he's wrong and that he should have sided with the mutineers, and suddenly an explosion rocks the ship. They return to the Enterprise with a strange cylindrical device.
Ooh. Now, the Romulans, that big explosion is the Romulans destroying the entrance to the asteroid and sealing them in. Now, with no apparent way out, Riker announces to Picard that Pressman has this device and that it is in fact a phased cloaking device which could be used so the Enterprise can pass directly through the solid matter of the asteroid and escape. Pressman does try to relieve Picard of duty when he points out that the Federation developing cloaking technology was in violation of the Treaty of Algeron. Don't know who Algeron is, but there you go. And he plans to reveal this deception publicly. Naturally, the Enterprise crew remain loyal to Picard, as we would expect, and nobody comes to Pressman's aid. The crew install the device, the Enterprise gets out of the asteroid, and Picard arrests Pressman as the captain of the ship. And they all live happily ever after.
Except Pressman, I hope.
One hopes. It does make this comment at the end, though. It's like, oh, I've got some friends in high places in Starfleet. And like, Picard's little, you're going to need them.
Yeah, I love that moment. Is it ever really touched on in the films? Like, is he ever mentioned again? I feel like it's not mentioned ever again.
There's no mention I can think of ever again from him. I do think, before we get into the episode, we've had a couple of comments. One from Ed saying there's a very Nuremberg defence moral discussion in this episode. Does following your superior's orders absolve you of blame for the actions you take? No. There you go. That's resolved. I mean, it is difficult because in a military situation you are programmed to just obey the orders without thinking and without questioning because things need to happen very, very quickly. I understand that, but...
Yeah. But this is why you have, conscientious objectors and things like that, because they don't agree with those sorts of things.
No.
And I for one, like, if if the UK decided to start drafting people into the army and force people to do like 2 years service or whatever, I definitely wouldn't do it. Like, I just don't agree with that kind of thing. So people always have a choice. And if you choose to do the wrong thing, that's, even if you were following orders, that's still on you.
Yes. And Ed's just gone on to say exactly, just as at Nuremberg decided you have a moral obligation to refuse to obey an immoral order. Morality can be a bit of a grey area, though, can't it?
It can, and I think, yeah, very grey. Lots of different shades of grey. There's quite a gap between the black and the white there. And it
So
really
there's
just
somewhere between 49 and 51.
Oh my god!
Terrible, terrible movie and book.
I really walked into that one, didn't I? Yeah, and that book is a great example of all the things that are morally wrong in the world. So that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's black. That's on the black side of things.
That is definitely, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. That was a terrible, terrible book.
That's trash.
It really is. On an aside on the Pompey thing, Matt has said in 1781 some Portsmouth sailors climbed Pompey's pillar near Alexandria and became known as the Pompey Boys.
Oh, you know, I always wondered if it was something to do with Pompeii because they do sound very similar, but I was always like, but why? Because it's got nothing to do with Portsmouth. But if it's the sailors themselves that are the connection, then that does make sense.
Right. Shows you exactly how highbrow your thinking goes to make that connection. Because I thought, sounds a bit like Pumpy, as in Rumpy Pumpy. So there we go.
I wondered, maybe there was, like, back in the day, like some volcano in Portsmouth that erupted or something. I don't know.
A volcano in Portsmouth.
Yeah, and then that's, you know, it's obviously erupted once and then disappeared because we don't see it anymore.
Okay. You never know.
No, you don't. No, you just don't know, Stu.
Yeah, Matt has said Pompey's Pillar is the name given to a Roman triumphal column in Alexandria, Egypt. Pompey, the Roman general, not the town near the volcano.
Oh, okay. All right, well.
There we go. We learn all sorts of things on this show, don't we? Not all of them Star Trek related. But to come back to the episode, that I was trying to think of a nice segue, but I can't, so we'll just go straight back in. Yeah, so I mean, this opening scene with Captain Picard Day, I think, is absolutely beautiful because that back and forth between Riker and Picard shows truly how far they have come.
Yeah.
With each other.
Yeah, I mean, considering they'd never met before, you know, the first episode, at Farpoint, you know, that he didn't know his first officer personally, he just chose him, and that he explains why he chose him in this episode, and I think that's quite nice actually that you get to see how lovely their relationship is at this point now. So that is really nice. I do love the little toy that Riker tries to steal, and he's like, when he turns around and he's like tucked in his arm and he's like, oh, I've got to give it back.
Well, even mimicking Picard to his face, make it so, number one. You know, it shows how comfortable they have become as a working team.
And I think that's really important as well. Like, you have to have that sort of trust and rapport and like a good natured relationship with someone you're working that closely with. It's very important. And I actually just watched the episode of Deep Space Nine the other day where I think Cisco and Major Kira are talking about the fact that their relationship isn't very close, like they only talk about work and stuff like that. And then he asks Kira to go to a baseball game with him and her face just lights up. And actually it's quite a nice sort of parallel to compare to this, because you see Riker and Picard's relationship so beautifully here, and that's, I feel like that baseball game was the start of Kira and Cisco to become like friends more than just work colleagues, you know?
Yes.
Maybe they're on the road to becoming this kind of really close pair now.
Yeah, I mean, for them, for Cisco and Kira, of course, it's even more complicated by not only is Cisco Kira's superior, but he is this religious icon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't
To
it?
her
Like,
people, yeah.
like, can you imagine, like, for example, let's just say Jesus was like working at, I don't know, a supermarket, and you're his like, he's the manager and you're the supervisor, and you've got to work with him. Like, how would it work?
I know. Yeah, and Ed has made some comments as well about it shows how far Picard has come that he's judging children's schoolwork on his ship.
Yes.
And yeah, he goes on to say that trust between a first officer captain is another theme contrasting the relationship between Riker and Picard and the emergency relationship between Pressman and Riker. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And as well as the idea of the old lost starship, the Pegasus is a little like Pressman and Riker's Stargazer. True, yeah, because we've seen the Stargazer previously in Next Generation when it gets returned by Damon Bock.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good point.
One thing, I mean, to me, this is a beautifully written episode, though, and kind of almost perfect. There's very little I can find to fault. What I do feel is kind of a misstep, though, was the absence of Section 31. Now, Section 31 didn't exist in Star Trek lore at this point.
Okay.
But it would have been perfect for Pressman to have been Section 31, don't you think?
Remind me what that is?
Section 31 is the hidden kind of covert intelligence, like Federation's Tau Shiar.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, they always confused me a little bit why he had his orders from Starfleet to go and retrieve it and stuff like that. But that the experiments they were conducting were so, they just don't seem to align with Starfleet's sort of agenda. I just always wondered, like, maybe there was like a sub level perhaps where some people in Starfleet were sort of going against all of their principles for the greater good, but still, you know, dodgy.
Greater good.
The greater good.
Greater good.
But yeah, that would make sense with Section 31, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you that this is one of the better written episodes. It is really, like, it's just so interesting, and it hooks you completely, like, all the way through. There are a few episodes of Next Generation, I would say, in the early seasons where I zone out because it's just not as captivating, but this episode really is. Yeah, you're really right about that, and it's nice to see that Riker has developed, and even though you don't see him when he's younger, you hear them talk about it, and you can sort of tell how far he's come, not just with his career development, but on like a personal, like, growth sort of journey. I think it's really cool.
Yes. Hello, Paul, who's just come into the chat. Nice to see you here. And Matt said Stargazer, of course, referenced in the new Picard trailer, but of course the Captain Picard Day banner is in the first season of Picard. Have you seen Picard yet?
I have not. I'm waiting to watch it until I've finished all my other seasons.
You can cross over. It's fine.
I know, we talked about this the other day, didn't we? You said I should designate a different day of the week to each trek, which I think I'll just get confused, but I'll try it. I'll try and do it just for you, Stu.
Well, I want to be able to talk about these things, and
I know. I'm really holding the stream back, aren't I?
You're really not. I think Matt's comment earlier proves that that's not the case.
Oh, well, thank you for being so lenient with me as a casual Trekkie. Yeah, I'll watch it soon. Because I've been wanting to watch it for a while, and I feel like that's something that I would really enjoy. I think I might enjoy it more than Discovery, because I tried to watch Discovery and there's just too many lens flares. What's going on?
Yeah, Yeah, I would say stick with it because it's worth sticking with.
I've heard a lot of people have said that the first season with them, they're just sort of finding their feet a bit, but that the next ones are better. So I will stick with it because I'm not a quitter.
I mean, I also it's Star Trek.
Yeah,
So,
and like we said a while ago, even the worst Trek is still good because it's Trek.
Yeah. Even Star Trek 5. One day we're going to review Star Trek 5.
Oh God. Okay, all right.
That's a threat.
Oh dear. What's your favourite moment from this episode? The bit that you could just watch again and again, like if you just had like a minute, maybe.
That's a tricky one.
Shall I tell you mine first?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Mine's the bit where Pressman asks Worf to escort Picard to his quarters, and Worf just looks at him for a second, and then he just goes, as if to go like, what are you on about? Why would I do that? And everyone's just sort of stood there looking at Pressman like, you're not going to win this one, buddy. No mutiny on board the Enterprise.
That is a nice moment. I think for me, probably the scene between Pressman and Picard, where they're debating the whole, should someone blindly follow orders or should they sort of think things through, and when Picard's telling Pressman about why he took Riker on, you wanted someone with a history of disobedience, what, that kind of thing. So
it is a good scene. I think there's so many like undertones in the way they're speaking to each other. You can just tell that they just fundamentally disagree on so many things. Like reading between the lines, there's probably a lot of like moral things, especially that they just would completely disagree on.
Yes.
Another
absolutely.
bit I really love is when they're talking to the Romulan captain, and Picard is like, "Oh, it would be a shame if your ship were damaged by some accident," and I'm just, he's so sassy, like.
Yeah.
But
that Romulan commander was holding his own with it. I doubt we were ever truly in any danger.
Oh my God.
I appreciate your concern for my ship is touching. That's the first ever black Romulan that we ever got to see.
Oh, is it? Oh, that seems odd. Like I'd have thought that they would have had more.
No, and they were originally they lightened his skin tone with makeup and then changed their minds.
Good.
Yes, quite right. No, sorry, I'd just thrown in a bit of trivia before we're doing the trivia bit. Let's dive into trivia.
So this episode was actually inspired by a novel called "Raise the Titanic" by writer Ronald D. Moore. I was going to say, Donald Trump. No, it's not Donald. Ronald D. Moore. And it started with the premise of a mystery ship from the past which holds a secret within it.
Just to be clear, Ronald D. Moore didn't write Raise the Titanic. He was the writer on Star Trek.
Oh, gosh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm hungover, okay?
You are, absolutely. We've established. Don't worry. Just wanted to... You'll have viewers going, Ronald D. Moore wrote Raise the Titanic as well?
Well, who wrote it? Raise the Titanic then?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm going to Google it.
Well, while you Google that, I'll give the next bit of trivia. So the events of the Star Trek Enterprise finale, These Are the Voyagers, takes place during the episode The Pegasus. In that episode, we find out that Riker ran a holodeck simulation of the NX-01's final voyage to help him decide whether or not to tell Captain Picard about the cloaking device, presumably just before he ends up going over to the Pegasus with Pressman. That's kind of the best place I can put it, but it's hard to place it, and also, I mean, that was a huge misstep, I think, on the part of Enterprise. So who wrote it then? Who wrote Raise the Titanic?
He's got an excellent name. He's called Clive Cussler.
Clive Cussler.
Clive
Yeah,
Cussler.
it's very
And
famous.
the I've never heard of him before.
Okay.
The, the main character of the book is called Dirk Pitt.
Dirk Pitt.
Dirk Pitt. That just sounds
Excellent.
really weird, doesn't it?
The only
But
famous Dirk I can think of course, is Dirk Gently.
that's the one that springs to my mind as well.
Yeah, Holistic Detective Agency.
So, in this episode, it is finally explained why the Federation doesn't use cloaking devices. So, Ronald D. Moore stated, I thought, let's sew this up, not because it's the last season, but because I'm sick of that question at conventions. I bet they get all sorts of questions like that all the time. He believed the Federation Romulan treaty was the best explanation and better than those offered up in the past. That the cloaking device harmed humans, it won't work on Federation starships, or that Starfleet doesn't sneak around, etc., etc. Which I think makes sense. And yeah, the treaty, you want to keep the peace. You don't want to create enemies where you don't need them. So yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, and historically, we've seen the Federation using cloaking technology. And indeed stealing it and to analyse it in the original series when they capture the bird of prey, of course, in Search for Spock. I nearly said Wrath of Khan then. Search for Spock, wasn't it? The bounty. Fantastic. The entries for the Captain Picard Day, including the doll that Riker tries to carry out, they were sourced from 2 local elementary schools and the children of property master Alan Sims.
That's cool. Can you imagine being in school and your teacher saying, right, today, kids, we're gonna be drawing a starship captain? I'd be like, yes, this is a great day.
I've just realised the kids that made those in elementary school are older than you.
That's a weird thought, isn't it? How old do you reckon they were? What is the age of elementary school? Because that's American, isn't it? So they start school at
6 or 7.
Yeah, I think they start school at maybe at 5 or 6, and then I think they go to like the big school starts at 13. I think so. It must be up to like age 12.
Yeah, Ed said there'll be 6+ at least.
Yeah,
and cool. Ed's got kids, so I'd expect him to know.
Ed in America?
No, but not having kids, I just wouldn't give it any thought, kind of thing.
Well, I'm a teacher, so I think about these things a lot. So I'm going to try and get the children in my class into Star Trek, I think.
Yes, of course.
How could you introduce Trek to like 2-year-olds?
As analogies.
Maybe I'll just teach them all the live long and prosper hand thing. And
so if one ship is travelling at warp 7, heading from the Alpha Quadrant to the Delta Quadrant, and another ship is travelling from the Gamma Quadrant to the Beta Quadrant at warp 8, is that right for 2-year-olds? That level of maths?
I think they'll get it straight. Obviously, they're in my class, so they're really clever. I think they'll get it straight.
Are they sassy? Did they learn that from you?
Probably, yeah. Probably. I actually learned quite a lot from them as well. I've got some Spanish children in my class. I've been learning Spanish from them, so that's quite nice. Grow every day.
Actually, Ed's come up with a really cool idea. Give them 3 colour-coded T-shirts. They'll automatically gravitate to their favourite division. Then you can do science, leadership, or physical activities to match.
You know what? That would be cool. I actually quite like that. I quite like doing science experiments with them as well. Even though they're really young, they really love it sometimes. We did one a while ago where we put different substances in water to see which would mix with the water and which would separate and things like that. So, and then we put them in. We made our own lava lamps out of them, and they really loved watching how these things work and things like that. So, I think I would be a science officer if I was in Starfleet. What would you be, Stu? Command, obviously. Captain, absolutely. I didn't even need to ask. You always wear red.
No, I'm natural leader.
Except TOS, where you would wear gold.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I did one of those face change things the other day where you put the picture of all the characters, and then it chooses which one you look like and morphs your face into it. And I was Captain Kirk.
Really?
Apparently, I'm
Oh,
Captain Kirk.
cheekbones.
Lack of.
No. You have cheekbones, but yeah, they're not dissimilar. Cool.
I don't know how accurate it is though, because when I did one for Next Generation, and I came out as Deanna Troy, and I don't look anything like her.
Maybe it's the long hair.
Maybe.
All women with long hair look alike.
This is true. We're all basically the same person.
Wonder who I'd come out with.
I don't know. You'd have to try it.
Bald head, Yorkshireman.
Oh dear. Right, so Riker explains that 12 years ago he was 7 months out of the academy. Since he has already been commander of the Enterprise for over 6 years at this point, this means he rose from a rookie officer to commander in just 6 years, which seems an extraordinarily fast progression by Starfleet standards. So well done, Riker.
Does but I wonder if that's an oversight.
Yeah, potentially they just didn't do the maths properly, but
yeah,
it happens sometimes in shows like this when you have quite a few different writers who are producing content. Not all of it meshes properly, but we forgive. We love Star Trek.
I know it's not on our list, but do you know what? I'm going to throw one more bit of trivia in. The Pegasus is an Oberth class ship, like the Grissom, and very much like the players of our regular Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. It's their favourite type of ship is the Oberth. Ed and Matt will testify to this. They love Oberth class ships.
Yeah. What's the reason
because
for that?
Because they hate them. Oh, and Usher's here. Usher loves the Oberth class more than anyone else. Yeah, straight away, that ship sucked. Oberth sucks.
Why do they suck?
So the first game we ran was the Kobayashi Maru, and I put them on an Oberth class ship because it's pants basically. The second adventure we ran, they had to go and explore an Oberth class. Oberth class is used as a testbed for prototype technologies, which is what this ship was in this adventure. They had to go and explore it, and things didn't go well for them. Yeah, as Usher says, because the doors don't work. He broke the door. His character went to open a door, the most simple thing in any role-playing game, and he broke the door.
Don't know your own strength.
It was good fun.
I do want to play with you one day. It does sound fun.
Absolutely. Well, you can always watch them on catch up, and as well as watching Picard and Discovery. And
I've got too many things to watch. I also got a free trial to Audible, so I could listen to the autobiography of Captain Janeway. So I've been listening to that as well.
Oh, has Kate Mulgrew written an autobiography now?
No. Someone else wrote it. I think her name's Una something. So she's written an autobiography of Catherine Janeway.
Oh.
But with the audiobook, they got Kate Mulgrew to narrate it.
Right.
So it sounds like Captain Janeway is just telling you a story. It's really lovely. It's really good.
Oh, I'll have to look that up. What's it called?
It literally is just called The Autobiography of Catherine Janeway.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a free trial on Audible, and it's about 8 hours long, and I think I've listened to about an hour of it so far. It's really, really nice. There's a chapter where she talks about her early childhood and about her little sister Phoebe being born and things like that, and it's actually really relatable. So yeah, it's nice to hear that sort of backstory that you don't see in the show, which is it's really good. And I love Janeway, so.
Do you? We'd never have guessed.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Looking forward to that documentary.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Which do you think will come first, the documentary or Chicago?
Chicago. Yeah. I don't think they'll get it filmed in a year. They've got to film it, edit it, and they've still got to sort out all the licensing for the music and the HD fixing up of all the footage and stuff like that. It will take them longer than a year, I think. And like, when, you know what it's like making films. Things always take longer than you think. Definitely.
Oh yes. Don't they just?
Definitely.
Excellent.
So, shall we go on to our discussion of cloaking technology?
Yes.
So
well, we have been already. It's just been hidden. No, that was a lame joke.
So the races which are known to have cloaking technology are, I'm probably going to pronounce some of these wrong because I'm so hungover. Please forgive me. The Suliban,
Suliban,
the Klingons, the Romulans and Remans, the Ceruleans. Did I say that right?
The Ceruleans, yeah.
Spear Builders, the Minosians, Srivani,
yeah.
The Hierarchy.
Yeah.
Quite a few, and to me it just seems really sort of like it seems really backwards that the Romulans would have the cloaking technology and then enter into a treaty with Starfleet and be like, we can have cloaking technology, but you can't. Actually,
that seems like a very Romulan thing to do, though, because they are that arrogant, petulant sort of race. So yeah, no, I can definitely see them doing that.
It's believable for sure, but also kind of rude. But they're Romulans, so what more can you expect from them, really?
Yeah, absolutely, and indeed that although the Treaty of Algernon with the Romulans does outlaw the development of Federation cloaking technology, there are a number of Federation ships that have had cloaking devices at least at some point. Going all the way back to the original Enterprise when Kirk steals cloaking technology from the Romulans and fits it. Well, Scotty fits it in the Enterprise incident. Famously, the Defiant in Deep Space Nine, of course. There's the Pegasus and the Enterprise D. The Holo ship from Star Trek Insurrection, of course, had cloaking technology. And a lot of people forget the mines in Deep Space Nine were cloaked. The mines for the wormhole.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So that's Federation cloaking technology.
Naughty.
Mm.
Yeah, the Defiant is a good one, actually, because I think when the Defiant got introduced into that show, it just brought a whole new dynamic to Deep Space Nine, because before it had always been quite sort of centered on the space station itself. But then when you have the Defiant in play, you don't have to just see them in a runabout. You actually got this actual awesome kitted out ship they can go on adventures in, and I think it just sort of shifted the dynamic of Deep Space Nine a bit when they had the Defiant.
That's true. We've had some additions to our list. Paul has stated the Cardassians have cloaking technology on the new Keldon, which I'm trying to remember where that is. I mean, that's going to be Deep Space Nine. I can't remember that.
I can't remember anything right now. I need a coffee.
Yeah. And Ed has said, does anyone count the Dominion shroud? So the Jem'Hadar were able to shroud themselves as individuals. Does that count as a cloak? They don't seem to bother with it on larger scale. No, they don't.
I guess it still counts. It's still technology, isn't it? It's not
personal cloaking.
Yeah. It's not like it's like an innate biological ability, as it is technology that they use to cloak themselves.
Do we ever know if it's technological or...
I honestly can't remember it actually being spoken about.
Or biological? I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't.
Actually, I do think it is biological, because you remember the episode where they find the baby Jem'Hadar, and he sort of grows up into this angry young man.
Yeah.
He doesn't cloak himself, does he? So it must be technology that he doesn't have on him.
Ooh.
I can't remember.
That would make sense. I mean, but he was a juvenile, so...
Very juvenile.
Even when he went back, he was still very young, so... Yeah. It's hard to say. Yeah, Ed's assuming it's built into their suits, war gear.
It does make more sense that way.
But you have had cases of biological entities being cloaked. Ro, Laren, and Geordie in the Next Generation. When they have
yes.
That was phased cloaking as well. That although that predates the Pegasus, in a way it sort of foreshadowed it almost.
That's such a good episode, actually. I love that one.
That is a good episode. It's a nice Ro Laren episode, that.
I really love Ro Laren. She's very cool. She's a good character.
Yes.
And her having that moment with Geordie as well, because they're two sort of unlikely people. You wouldn't really put them together as friends or anything. And
I'd be hesitant to put him with any females, to be honest. I'd be slightly concerned, but that's a whole other topic right there.
We could do a whole episode on that.
We really could.
Leah Brahms.
Oh, tell me about it. And of course, Trip Tucker got partially cloaked. His arm got cloaked off the Sulaban when he was trying to work out how to activate the Sulaban cloaking. He cloaked his arm. So biological cloaking has happened.
Interesting. So yeah, the cloaking device projects a cloaking field, also known as cloaking shields, around the vessel, which selectively bend the path of light and sensors to render the vessel invisible and undetectable, which is seen in the original series Balance of Terror. The shield can be expanded to cloak multiple vessels, which you see in Next Generation's Devil's Due, and Voyager, Tinker, Tenor, Doctor Spy, which is a great episode as well. However, some models of cloaking device could work without being tied into anything and even having a limited power supply of their own, which Deep Space Nine episode, The Emperor's New Cloak.
Yes, because they use it to cloak the actual cloaking device.
That's very sort of meta, isn't it?
It is a bit. Yeah, now, most vessels were unable to use their weapons and deflector shields when cloaked. Ships of the Klingon D12 class, for example, were vulnerable to attack for 2 seconds when their shields automatically dropped as the cloaking field itself formed. We saw that famously in Star Trek Generations with Lursa and Betor. Ships like the Scimitar, the Riemann ship Scimitar, with more advanced cloaking technology, however, did not have that problem, as it had primary and secondary shields and weapon systems that could remain online whilst the ship was cloaked. She's a predator. Yeah, cloaks are great.
Yeah, I always think of the invisibility cloak in Harry Potter, and I think in my mind, like when you hear them talking about cloaking technology, I just imagine someone like hopping out of the ship and just like shaking out a big blanket over the ship that's actually an invisibility cloak. I know that's obviously not what it is, but I like imagining it in my mind.
That's how it works in your head. Your own story.
Well.
It's magic. Well, I mean, cloaking technology is something that is actually being developed in the real world currently.
Is it?
Yeah, it's something we've covered, like we've touched on occasionally in my podcast, Aliens Explored. They've some drone aircraft have almost retroflective panels. So, they'll take basically a video of the sky from above and show it on small screens underneath the craft. So, I mean, it's like straight out of Marvel, with the helicarrier. That's how that works. Absolutely amazing. And they've even developed a jacket that will basically do the same. It'll take a video behind it and project it onto the front. So it looks like you're looking through the person. Wow,
that's so complicated. I really like that.
It's a really interesting. Really, I mean, it works slightly different to obviously the Star Trek, which, as you rightly said, it bends light around. This is more retroflective.
Yeah.
But
it's still bad though, and can you imagine how long it would take to make something like that was actually working and could be functional and useful in some way, because it'd have to be so, like, it would just have to work really quickly to make sure that the video was, if the like object was moving, like a ship, for example, if there's any delay in the video showing up, then it would be like, oh, that patch of sky looks a bit funny, like, so it wouldn't really work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that, you're going to have some degree of lag, even if it's like tiny hundredths of a second. But the thing is, you'd have to be looking for it in the first place. And seeing sort of something vaguely out the corner of your eye, you're less likely to notice it.
That's true.
I mean, even in Star Trek, you've got the sort of shimmer effect of the cloaking.
Very true. I do like that when they decloak and it's like woo, wavy and they come out.
How does it make a noise? That's what I want to know.
How does it make a noise?
Whenever they decloak in Star Trek, it makes a noise.
Oh. I'll have to pay more attention. I'm sure I've heard it, but I'm just like generally not paying too much attention.
Yeah, I mean, the warp drive makes a noise as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And in space, no one can hear you scream, so they can't hear you go to warp or decloak, presumably.
Is that from Alien?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love Alien. And Aliens. Actually, I think I had this conversation with someone a while ago. I actually think I prefer Aliens, the second one.
A lot of people do. I like the first one as my favourite.
I like them both. Okay, here's a fun one. Do you prefer Alien or Predator?
Oh, Alien. Predator's great, but Alien.
I felt really bad because one of my exes, Predator, was his favourite film, and he asked me to watch it with him one day, and I was like, of course, like I'd love to watch your favourite film with you, and I fell asleep. It was just so long.
Predator 2 is crap.
And I'm a very sleepy person. Like, if you put me in front of a film, I am guaranteed to fall asleep at least halfway through. It just happens.
Well, we'll try to keep the reviews on films to a minimum. On this.
Notice how I very carefully dodged the last one you did, which was a film. after doing the motion picture one, I was like, I can't do films with you anymore, Stu.
Actually, I'll tell you what, although it was last week, I'm going to ask, Cumberbatch, good or not?
You know what? I liked Cumberbatch as an actor when he was first coming into things, because I felt like he still had some humility about him, but he's sort of gone off the rails a bit, hasn't he? He's not a nice person in real life, I've heard. I don't know personally, but I'm not that big a fan of him anymore. But as in Star Trek, you mean?
Meant in general, but yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
I liked him in Star Trek. What did you think?
I went on one of my mini rants last week.
You didn't like him?
How terrible he is. That's why I asked.
I mean, he wasn't like outstanding. I don't feel like he gets a lot more attention than I feel like he deserves.
Yes.
He's not like the best actor in the world.
No.
He's a good actor. I like him as Doctor Strange, actually, in the Marvel films.
Interesting you said. Yes, I've been a Doctor Strange fan for a lot of years, and actually, I mean, when I heard he was going to be playing Doctor Strange, I let out a massive groan.
Really?
I was surprised at how well he did, and yes, fair play to him on that one. Although the accent was a bit dodgy.
Yeah, his accent wasn't good, but I just turned my ears off, watched with subtitles. No, I feel like that's the only kind of character he can really do. The sort of focused on the task at hand, sort of not very good at being sociable. You know, because like Sherlock Holmes was one of his first big role, wasn't it? And yes. He was very much like, I don't know, those closed off sort of person. I feel like that's good for Cumberbatch. He can do that well, but maybe that's all he can do. I don't know.
Well, he is a bit of a one-trick pony. That was the main essence of my rant. Was he always plays the same character over and over and over again?
Yeah, that's true. And I remember one time I changed my profile picture on Facebook to an edited picture of Benedict Cumberbatch where they had made his neck extra long and moved his eyes really far
Oh,
apart.
the otter.
No, not an otter, no, but it was just a weird picture of him. He looked like an alien. And my mum freaked out. She was like, Kira, I literally can't look at it. Please change it. Like she absolutely cannot stand his face. And someone said he looks like his face is melting constantly. Like even a normal person, he looks like he's just about to melt.
To me, it looks like an otter, and I know that picture you're talking about, and to me, that just emphasises the otterness for me.
Yeah, that's true. It does. I like the otter memes. I don't think he likes them, but I think they're funny. Sorry, Benedict Cumberbatch, if you're watching our Star Trek Twitch stream.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is.
And Usher has mentioned about what his fan club calls themselves. Yes, we know what they call themselves. It's
What do they call themselves?
Cumber Bitches.
Oh, I have heard that.
Which
yeah,
is terrible.
I quite like the ongoing joke of you can just put any two words together that begin with a B and a C, like bendy pants cucumber. People know exactly who you're talking about.
Banana Q-tip.
Perfect.
Describes him perfectly.
Oh my goodness.
Cool.
Would you like to do your unboxing, Stu?
Let's do an unboxing, shall we?
From the Star Trek Online Collection 14 USS Shran.
Yes, and here it is on screen. The Shran is a McGee class starship in service 2256. Presumably, this is named after Shran from Enterprise, I'm guessing. What do you think, Kira?
I like it. I love watching your unboxings because these are just things that I would never think to buy for myself, but I like that you buy them for you, and your collection is really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it is. I mean, I'm saying thank you. I didn't make them, but they are pretty cool. So tell us what mission this was part of.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's in red on the sheet.
Oh. I got distracted by the video. It was involved in the Battle of the Binary Stars mission, part of the NPC force led by the Shenzhou.
Excellent. So here we are. This without slicing myself. Usual box work. Some more upcoming. Looking forward to the Damar class. That looks really interesting for a Cardassian ship. Interesting colour scheme for it. And of course the Kittimer, which is a Klingon Federation hybrid ship. That's going to be interesting. We have our magazine, which of course is too small. I say this every single time. It wouldn't be a show without me saying that.
There's a good comment on the feed there that says Stu needs an Admiral uniform just due to the number of ships he has. Fleet Admiral, yeah.
Fleet perfect. Admiral. I won't dispute that at all. Yeah, so it gives you the background and the history of the Shran. Oh, lots of background and history and some nice bits of artwork there as well. The usual dimensions and proportions. It's a bit of an unusual ship, this one. Yeah. There we go. Some different designs that they looked at doing for it, and yeah, a bit about the Star Trek Online game and the various tactics used. And coming next time, what we got? Oh, the Enterprise F refit. There we go. That's one to look forward to. I haven't got that one yet, so we'll see when that actually comes. And here it is. So yeah, so off screen there. So slightly unusual. You've got the saucer section and the nacelles all in one solid lump. It feels pretty hefty, to be fair.
A nice shape, isn't it?
It is. It's. I'm trying to work out which parts of it are the bits of the dish either side are definitely die cast. I think the dish is die cast with plastic bits sort of stuck onto it. That's the impression I'm getting. The nacelles, I think, are sort of clipped on around the side of it. Nice colour scheme to it. Nice detailed paintwork. If I can get that in focus, probably not. But it does tell you it's the USS Shran, NCC 91413 on the front. On the other side, you've got nice deflector. Yeah, it's an unusual ship, this one. Coloured plastic for the Bussard collectors. Yeah, it's very weird because it's clearly Federation in design, but very, very different as well. So yeah, kudos to the designers on that one. Very, very nice. That'll go nicely in the rest of the collection.
Lovely.
There we go.
You know, that'd be a cool job, wouldn't it? Just to design little model starship.
Yes. Well, I suspect Ed would be, because he makes models. Many models. Ed would be brilliant in that. Ed has mentioned it's a nod to the later Akira class. It is, but it came out in real world terms after the Akira, so yeah, more than 11 models. Yes, I would. Yes, 11,000 models. Is that you've got, Ed?
Wow.
Yeah. Fantastic. There we go.
Have you got room for that royal ships now? Because last time you showed me your cases, they were already super full. You're gonna have to order some more cases to put everything in.
I am going to have to order another. I use the IKEA Detolf cabinets. I'm going to have to get another one. I've got some room to move some bits and pieces about, but I've got about a dozen ships waiting to go in.
Homeless ships.
I have them. It's terrible. I have them all super organised. So all the Federation ships sort of go together. They're all ordered by manufacture date, not of the model, of the actual ship themselves.
Yeah.
And then we've got all the races are together, and yeah.
That's cool. I like that. I like a bit of organisation. If you're gonna have a collection, make it organised. I appreciate that. Very good.
Well, Paul said that I'm getting an extension, but enough about my private life. In fact, I can tell you that one of the reasons I moved out of London was because for the same price I was able to have a place big enough to house my collection, whereas I couldn't in London.
Perfectly reasonable reason to move.
Yeah. There we go. I am going to have to move again at some point, though.
Aren't we all? It's moving house time.
I mean, I've got a big 2-bedroom flat and I'm running out of space.
Oh, dear.
Shall
we do Trek news?
Let's.
So, Michael Dorn caused a bit of a stir on Twitter. Everyone got extremely excited by him posting saying that he had been summoned back into action by Starfleet. And it turned out after both Paramount Plus and Paramount Movies that it wasn't anything to do with them. It turned out it's for the game Star Trek Legends, which I believe we touched on a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? That's the app game, is that right?
Star Trek Fleet Command Legends is a new one coming out. Yes, we did. Yes, we announced it's coming out.
Yeah, because I tried to download it on my Android and it's not available on Android. You can only get it on iPhone. So thanks, Samsung.
You know the answer then.
The answer?
Yeah.
To what?
Go Apple. Come over to the dark side. One of us.
There's no point buying an Apple phone because Apple programs them to just die after a year.
Mine don't.
They start lagging and getting really slow and useless though.
I use all Apple. I don't have that problem.
I mean, no, I don't have that problem with my laptop. But all of my Apple iPhones I've ever had have always just sort of died, or not completely died, but just got really laggy, really slow. Can't handle the new updates, things like that.
I'm still using an iPad from 2014 that still runs like it's new. My 3GS ran until I got an iPhone 5. And then I got a second-hand iPhone 5 just before the iPhone 6 came out. To be fair, that one didn't last very long. But then I got an iPhone 6, and that lasted me till I got the XR. And the only reason I got the XR was for the better video camera.
Yeah, I will say they do have good cameras on them now. They weren't always that great, but they do have good cameras now these days.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I got my Samsung is because the camera on mine shoots in 4K, and it's really good for just making little videos and stuff. And it was half the price of an iPhone.
There is that. But I like the fact that all my equipment speaks to each other.
Oh yeah, that is useful, isn't it? Yeah, I bought my phone when I was on holiday in Australia a couple of years ago, and phones in Australia are really cheap. So you'd expect to pay like £700 for a phone in the UK, but I think I paid about 300 for mine in Australia, so I could just afford to pay it outright.
Isn't it awkward to keep having to sort of look at it upside down though?
There is that, but I do like to do handstands, so it works out fine.
Fantastic. Happy all around.
Well, that's a lie.
Moving on to other news this week then. LeVar Burton, who is going to be a guest host again on Jeopardy in America. There's so many calls for him to be the permanent host now. It's unbelievable. But he has teased that his return to Trek in season 2 of Picard is a maybe, potentially. He has stated he wouldn't want a regular role, but it would be fun to reprise the role occasionally. Now, I do get, they have to be very careful about releasing information, but the fact he's saying maybe, that's quite good.
Yeah, I mean, you never really know until they release the information themselves, but I think there's quite a sort of... I think quite a lot of the actors from Star Trek have had quite positive experiences and like really love their characters, and so returning to those characters is always, I think, something that they like to do. At least most of them, anyway.
Yes.
Because the actor who played Michelle Forbes, I think her name is, who plays Ro Laren. She was originally offered the role that became Major Kira, but she turned it down. She didn't want to be a leading character on a series. Which is fair enough. I think she, had her life plans and stuff, but
no, but that's a bit like over here being offered a role in a soap opera. You become synonymous with that role, and then that makes it very difficult to get other work. I'll tell you what it's more like. It's like Tom Baker as Doctor Who. He found it incredibly difficult to get work after that because you cast him in anything. It's like you're casting Doctor Who. You're not casting Tom Baker.
That's a good point.
That's why David Tennant pulled out when he did. So it didn't happen to him, and I think he absolutely did that at the right time.
Yeah, because he was quite a successful actor anyway before that. So I think he had the scope to do a lot more things. But people like Matt Smith, he hadn't really done anything before Doctor Who. So I feel like for him now, that's sort of his lot in life.
Matt Smith did quite a bit.
Really? What, before Doctor Who?
Yeah.
I don't remember
he was on
anything.
Secret Diary of a Call Girl with Billie Piper. He did a lot of theatre, I know.
Oh.
And that's the thing. When you do a lot of theatre, they do say, "Oh, it's a breakout performance." No, it's not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't really go to the theatre a lot, mainly because it's all in London, and I can't afford the travel, and also it's really expensive.
It is these days, yeah.
Very expensive. I'm hoping that out of the whole pandemic situation, there'll be more sort of interest in theatre, and they'll make it more affordable, more accessible, and things like that.
That'd be nice. Sadly, theatre in places like Bristol and Swindon, they all just do cover bands now.
Yeah, you find a lot of the same things over and over again as well. And one of my friends made a comment a while ago on Twitter, directed to the Theatre Royal in Bath, actually, because it was when things were allowed to open up a little bit, and they planned some shows to put on, and every single one of their shows was an old play. I think that all of them were at least 30 years old, all written by a man.
Oh.
And none of them were from like local writers. None of it was new, and it was kind of like you've got this big opportunity to showcase some of the local talent. You know, you've got Bath Spa University, where I went, which is producing amazing writers every year, amazing actors every year, and you're not giving any of them a chance to say, look, I studied in Bath, and now my script is on stage here too. Like, who really wants to watch a play by an old dead guy again? Like, just anyway, that's my theatre rant, everybody. Sorry about that. Let's get back onto Trek.
Well, Ed's made a comment about theatres because he's up in Manchester. He said he's lucky that in Manchester, with the number of theatres and productions that happen up there, to see. And yes, there are a good amount up north. Nobody ever hears about them, though. That's a shame. And Usher, we're coming to your question. Don't worry. We'll come to after news. Usher has a question for us. We'll do that after news.
Okay, cool. So, John Delancey has also stated during a cameo video that he will be, and I quote, annoying the shit out of Picard, which is what we love to see.
It is.
And also, on a side note, it's been heavily reported that Whoopi Goldberg will be returning as Guinan, who, if any of you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen some of my posts in March when it was Trek Women Month. Guinan is one of my favourite Trek characters. I think she's absolutely fantastic. Whoopi Goldberg lucked out. She got some of the best costumes, most unique costumes. It was so cool. But it's not confirmed by Paramount Plus. In a Variety magazine interview, she said she was preparing to return. So perhaps they're still in talks, or perhaps, she's reached out. I don't know. We don't know yet, but hopefully that would be cool.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't say in Variety magazine that she's preparing to return if she was. It's all a bit weird.
It is a bit like sort of, is she, isn't she?
Because you remember the first contact day, they gave a list of people who were attached, and her name was missing from it.
Oh, so maybe she's returning in some other way.
It's all a bit strange.
Could she be coming back in the game, like Michael Dorn, perhaps? She is a Star Trek legend, after all.
It's very true. I think in the Variety magazine interview, she does talk about Picard, like coming back to the series Picard.
Oh, okay. Maybe she's asked them and they just haven't finalised it yet, or something.
Yeah, maybe. Now, this question from Usher. So he said it's his first time watching the stream, and you're very, very welcome, Usher. It's lovely to have you on board. What are our thoughts on the upcoming show with Pike and Number One? So, Strange New Worlds with Anson Mount. Well, Keira, you not having watched Discovery, you wouldn't really. I mean, do you have any thoughts on it? It's hard to say. It's hard to.
Well, I've seen the photos of them, and I know that they're quite well liked characters. Like, people really enjoy watching them, and I think they look really good as a team. And I love the positive response they've been getting. So, just from what other people have said, I think it's going to be really cool. I know a lot of people are excited for it.
And I'm one of them. So yeah, your three main characters, your Pike, Number One, and Spock, played absolutely brilliantly in Discovery by the actors. I am looking forward to it being a more positive spin on Star Trek. I love the dark. So we've had Discovery, and we've had talk about this Section 31. Picard's gone quite dark in places, and I do love my dark episodes. Hence why Deep Space Nine is a favourite. But if it's all dark, then yeah, it does get a bit draining. So having a more upbeat, positive, colourful, lighter show will be absolutely brilliant as well.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to that. They've made statements they're going back to a more episodic format. Have mixed feelings about that. I feel we as an audience our tastes have evolved and our tastes have become more complex, and the way we watch now has changed. So we tend to binge watch things where we never did before. So the whole episodic thing doesn't really fit modern watching habits.
No, you're quite right, because back when I first started watching Trek when I was a child, you'd watch it once a week when it was the Star Trek's time on television, when they had their regular slot, and you'd have to wait for the next week, and now you don't have to do that. You're right. So when you binge watch stuff, it's so much easier to follow a continuous thread. You don't need the episodic things. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, when Discovery came out on Netflix, of course, that was weekly, so maybe it'll work. I don't know. I don't know. I'm holding my breath a little bit on the episodic side, but the rest of it, yeah. And Anson Mount is just always an absolute pleasure to see.
Yeah,
even in that terrible Marvel Inhumans series,
I
when
didn't
he
watch
didn't
that.
speak. He played Black Bolt. So of course he didn't say anything. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm probably going a bit too geeky for you there.
No, I like Marvel. I never really vibe with Marvel series. I always prefer the films, I think. The only Marvel series that I've genuinely thoroughly enjoyed was what's their name? The private investigator with black hair.
Oh, Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Yes, Jessica Jones was very, very good. Have you seen WandaVision?
Yes, I do like WandaVision as well, actually, yeah. But I watched that all in one go, so for me that just felt like I was watching a film.
Yes. Ed has suggested he imagines that episodic means a team of writers can work much better without needing to line up stories as much or needing to work together to keep the long storyline going. That's very, very true. And Usher has made a comment that Pike's a tough character as we know the end for him, which is very, very true. In fact, almost into spoiler territory for here. That is touched on in Discovery. That's all I'll say.
It all now.
And anything to make it more tied to the canon must be weird. Well, Usher, the Strange New Worlds is going to be set before the original series with Kirk and co. So you've got that space of time before what happens to him happens. So yeah, we've got some breathing room, some wiggle room. I think Discovery was set, was it 10 years before the original series? So there's a bit of wiggle room for the series there.
I looked it up the other day, what the time between it. I can't remember. I got really confused when I turned it on, because I thought Discovery would be after, but it wasn't. And I was like, hang on a minute, the Klingon thing doesn't make sense. I had to go look it up.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, Ed says we know what happens, but the journey to get there will be interesting. And actually, that's going to make it really difficult for the writers in a sense, because how can you give him the threat of we're going to blow up your ship, or, how are you going to create jeopardy for characters who they're going to survive?
Wow, that's a good point. In fact, I think this has been looked into a lot in other series, not necessarily Star Trek, but in other series they split off, and you can have like an alternate timeline or a parallel universe and things like that, so you can manufacture the jeopardy if you really want it. It'll be interesting to see how they do that, for sure.
That's part of the genius of J.J. Abrams going like he did on the alternate timeline. I think the canon will die because it's a different timeline.
Yeah. They
Well,
do it a lot with Marvel as well. Like, a lot of the comics are all very dispersed in terms of what happened in one universe hasn't happened in this one.
Yes, I mean, Marvel. I love Marvel. Comic book wise, nobody ever stays dead, which kind of is a bit disappointing. I think the movie's a bit different, but
Yeah, definitely.
That's a whole other thing. So there we go. We're looking forward to all of it. We're looking forward to Prodigy as well, aren't we?
Oh, so looking forward to it.
Oh, is Prodigy? I mean, that's really a Voyager spin-off, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it is, but for children, which I think will be really interesting. I'm so excited to see our emergency command hologram Janeway.
Get them indoctrinated young. That's what
Oh
I
my
say.
God, I can play Prodigy in my school. That'll get them into it.
Referencing Prodigy. You can even go cosplaying as Janeway.
You know what? It did cross my mind that, you know, on like World Book Day and like Halloween and stuff, we all come in dressed up, and I was like, I'm definitely going to be a Star Trek character next time it's going to happen.
You wait for an occasion like that. I mean, this is how I dress kind of daily. This is my.
I could probably get away with turning up in this, but because I work with little children, it would get absolutely trashed.
Oh no, you don't want. Yeah, you don't want cream.
No, but I think if I turned up to work one day wearing a Star Trek uniform, I'd get some funny looks. I don't think they'd know who I was. A lot of them have no idea what Star Trek is.
Well, Usher is now throwing shade in the chat. I believe that's the right term. I'm down with the kids. He's seen 20 episodes from Voyager, and she's better than any other captain.
I like this person.
By far his favourite. I mean, she's great. She killed Tuvix, for which, you know.
Didn't I?
I liked Tuvix. But you know, Cisco wants a word. That's all I can say. We each have our favourites, and they're all great.
Is that the first time I appeared on this stream was our debate over whether Janeway was a good captain? So I thoroughly recommend looking that up. I think is it on the YouTube channel, Stu?
It is absolutely on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Is it episode 7? I want to say, or 6?
Might have been 6. I can't remember, but it's on there, and I think we discussed some really interesting points. And if you like Janeway, then you'll like watching me defend her honour.
Yeah. Well, I knew if anyone could sell it to me, it'd be you.
Thank you.
So yeah, do check that out, Usher. Fantastic. Well, in the meantime, that's about it for today, isn't it?
That's it for today. And what a lovely episode we've had to look at too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It has been fun. And don't forget to join us next time when, of course, we'll be giving you more updates and the latest news from the Trekverse.
And we have a very special episode to celebrate May the 4th with a Star Wars special.
Yes, we're going over to the dark side. And it's going to be an episode all about Star Wars. We may even be having some friends joining us.
I'm very excited.
I'm really excited by it. So, yeah, because, of course, I mean, although it's not streaming on May the 4th, it's going to be May the 2nd, but that's close enough to Star Wars Day.
The closest Sunday we could find, so...
Yes.
You know, just a preemptive strike on the May the 4th be with you front.
Yes. So, really looking forward to that. I haven't got a bad feeling about it at all.
I don't have a bad feeling about it, except that I'm moving house the day before, so I may look a little worse for wear, but hopefully not hungover like I am today.
Oh, yes, it's just the day before. It'll be fine. It'll all be fine. Paula has asked if our friends joining us, or we're hoping will join us, is George Lucas.
Yes, he is a very close personal friend of mine. I've got him on speed dial. He will be here.
Right. Been holding out on me.
Yeah.
That's J.J. Abrams, of course, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
J.J. Abrams and George Lucas, we can have a competition to see which one's the biggest dick.
Let's make them fight to the death.
Yes! Yes, to the Kirk Spock fighty music.
And that will really determine which one is better.
Yes, we can settle it once and for all. Oh, so looking forward to next week.
Absolutely.
So looking forward. We have so much. We got stuff planned that we can't share yet.
Very exciting.
Because, do you know, I'm terrible at keeping secrets.
I am too.
Oh, that's no good. We'd better go before we
Let's leave before we
spill any beans.
Let's go. I need a nap.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, then, until next week, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.